Hello everyone. And today I want to talk about Neocaridina shrimp names and what kind of shrimp do I have. Now, dealing with customer support and being in social media groups and all that, one of the biggest questions that all people newer to shrimp ask is, you see a picture of their shrimp and they ask the question, what kind of shrimp do I have? Another question is, if I breed this shrimp with this shrimp, what can I get or what will I expect to get? And then another question is, I only have one tank, but I want different colors of shrimp. What kind of shrimp, what two colors of shrimp can I mix together that I will have the best results with? And I hope to answer some of these questions, or all three of these questions in this video today. It is important to remember that we call our shrimp lines. So what that means is that these shrimp, Neocaridina shrimp, are line bred shrimp. So it's more of a matter of singling out a color, working that color, and then something randomly pops up, and then the chances of that happening are more and more likely, and you start picking them out, and then you separate them and go on that. But more on that later. But also keep in mind here, the names for shrimp are up for debate and even their origins. But from what I can tell and my experiences, I'm not a geneticist. I never claim to be a scientist. I'm just a guy who breeds a lot of shrimp. And these are my discoveries and conclusions that I've made over the course of breeding all these said shrimp. And so here we have one of the many Neocaridina family tree chart things that are floating around the internet that I found. And I think this one best serves the purpose of trying to explain what I'm going to try to explain in this video. So bear with me. First, we'll start up here where it all started. A wild shrimp that looked kind of red. So basically, I'm going to explain it how I understand it. So basically, some guy in Asia, there's this creek somewhere, I don't know the specifics, or hey, this shrimp's kind of red. I wonder if I could breed them and do something with it. So we take the reddest shrimp we can find and breed them together, and eventually we get a pretty decent, more red shrimp. And that is where we call the red cherry shrimp, the first man-made shrimp. We took some reddish looking shrimp out of a stream and took the reddest ones, bred them together, and we come up with the red cherries. Then while we were trying to make those red cherries better and better, we ended up with an even higher grade red shrimp, and we call those Sakura Reds, red Sakura. And then some other things happen. We have the really pattern pops up. We have a red really blue, and even an orange guy pops up. And so then those start different lines. So then we take the higher grade red and try to work it higher and higher and higher. Then we end up with the higher grade Sakuras, the fire reds from Taiwan, the painted fire reds, and all those good stuff. All the highest grade reds. All come from the wild shrimp that we took the reddest ones we could, then we got the red cherries, then we took the reddest ones we could, then we got the red Sakuras. And from there, we just kept making the best ones with the best ones, and eventually you get better and better shrimp. And then over the course of trying to make that red cherry shrimp, in the process of making it a red Sakura, and then even higher, then you ended up starting getting the really gene expressed and red reallys, and even some blue with the red really blues. And then eventually you breed out more and more blues and you get blue reallys, and then you breed out all the red and you end up with what we call blue jelly or full blue really. So now we're going to get to talking about one of the more controversial things, and that is the blues. You have blues from reds, and you have blues that are on the other spectrum that we'll talk about later. Now, there are a lot of people out there that call any blue that comes from a red a blue velvet. And then those blues that come from reds can also be line bred to be darker and darker and darker. And there are even some people that call dark blues that have been lined out from reds blue dreams. Now, that's not the way I've come to understand it, but there are people out there that think that, and like I said, it's kind of controversial, but that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make here is that names, it doesn't matter, but you have blues that come from reds, and you have blues that are more closer to Bloody Marys and blacks, and I'll explain that next. So then another guy in Asia some time ago found another shrimp that looks pretty interesting. In fact, there's a couple other ones that they pulled out, and that'll make the other half of the Neocaridina table, the blues and Bloody Marys and black roses. And then after working with that first interesting wild caught shrimp, then we breed that into something called a shoko. And then that shoko splits off in the chocolates, which eventually become blue, or they turn red, and those become what we call Bloody Marys. So essentially, what we're doing here, red and we've gone blue 2 different ways. So that's why you have Bloody Marys that are different but still look red than red cherries. We essentially have gone, you can go blue or red 2 different ways. Now, like I said, I'm not a scientist or a geneticist or anything, but when you stop and think about all the aquatic arthropods, or basically our aquatic creatures that have shells, the crustaceans, red and blue is pretty popular, pretty normal the color variant to come across. Like the crayfish, you see red and blues of those. Even lobsters, the ones we eat, there's red and blue ones of those too. So red and blue is pretty common, and it makes sense that we found red and blue with Neocaridinas with 2 different paths. So now let's zoom out and take a big look at the right side. Now, you can get, in my experience, this is all pretty hit and miss. With blues, you can get blacks. With my blues, I've got all the blue realies, the blue velvets, the carbon realies. Now, if you really want a good experience, if you're trying to breed a pure line, not a good experience, but if you want to see all the different shrimp that pop up on this side, get yourself some black rose shrimp. My black roses through every single one of these on the right side, anything from Bloody Marys all the way to dark blue shrimp, carbon realies. I even got like blue red realies, which looking back on it were probably a blue dreams and a Bloody Mary mixing together. So you can get all kinds of crazy stuff popping up, and that was really cool. Everything on this side of the chart popped up out of my black rose. So while it was a frustrating experience trying to breed a line with them, it was pretty awesome to see all the different kinds of shrimp that would pop up, and literally every single thing on the right side of the chart would pop up from my black roses. So now this chart has 3 different orange lines coming from cherries, and I'm not so sure, but to me, orange is orange, the different grades. And when it comes to what those are sold by, you'll see sun-kissed, sakura, orange fire. Usually those refer to the higher grades, and then like a lot of times you'll see lower grade orange neos referred to as like pumpkin shrimp. So, and then another thing that's kind of cool here with neos, you can get greens from orange, and you can get greens from yellows. So, and I can attest to that, because for my oranges are kind of a difficult color, because you can either go red, or they also throw wilds with a greenish tint, and that's the hints of them trying to go green, which, like I said, I've seen over and over again. I pull out greenish looking wilds all the time out of my orange line. Then if we look all the way over here on the left side, you can see our yellows. And now, according to this chart, the yellows were started, they're all on their own. Yellows, there's some guy out in the wild found this stream somewhere in Asia, found this shrimp that looked kind of yellow. And so we got him and some of his friends, and let's see, and they got yellow. They made it more and more yellow through selective line breeding. And then somewhere along the line, you got some greens popping up. I can attest to that. back when I had a yellow line, it would definitely throw green shrimp. So I can also attest to that. So again, I don't want people to get too hung up on names because names can be different. You can ask 3 different people what they call a shrimp and you can get 3 different names. But you need to focus on the color of the shrimp and the grade of the shrimp, and that can mean several. Of course, you need to know these things when you're buying shrimp, and that's where you come into colors and all that. But if you have questions, ask the breeder or the person you're buying them from. Hopefully they can help you out if you still have questions. But I don't want to see people getting so hung up on shrimp, so worried about what they have, that they lose focus on just enjoying the pretty, beautiful shrimp that they have. And if you're wanting to know what colors the shrimp that are close together, well, right here it tells you, for the most part, pretty accurately in my belief, what shrimp come from what shrimp. It's all a big line. You breed this shrimp, you find this shrimp out in the wild, you narrow it down, and then it threw this one. Oh, that's cool. Let's single this trait out. We'll line that, breed that out, and something else come up that's cool, and we'll line breed that out. So it's not really so much a mixing this and mixing that. But if you want to mix 2 different colors together, like blue jellies and reds, I'm mixing blue jellies and reds to hopefully get some blue rillies and red rillies. And it seems to be working. I'm getting some results out of it, and that's cool. So if you're getting down to one of the more narrowed down shrimp, you can expect culls from anything up above it, especially when you get on the right side of the line and black roses and stuff like that. Those lines seem to be all over the place, at least in experiences I've had. So hopefully I help answer some questions. I get a lot of the questions about shrimp genetics and see what happens if I breed this, what shrimp is my name, what name is this shrimp. So hopefully I helped you guys some. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.